Kentucky Derby.
The turn, the leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for 3.
Churchill is in the center of the racetrack. Seattle Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem, he's pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss thing coming the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lionheart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here is the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle Slow of 1970.
The field has been set. We drew the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Oaks last night in that new paddock a couple days earlier than years past. We've got the morning workout show coming for you here. Nice, beautiful morning, 63 degrees. The track is playing fast here at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. All right, headlines for the morning. Fierceness. Draws post 17, possibly that unlucky post there. Made Kentucky Derby favorite at 5-2. Tarifa earns that lukewarm favoritism in the Kentucky Oaks. Sierra Leone's final drill goes nicely in company with domestic product. Track Phantom sharp in Sunday's final Derby preparation. All right, Kevin Kilroy joined by Rosie Napravnik. Rosie, great to have you back. This is your third day in a row. We've loved hearing all your thoughts, getting that expert point of view as a jockey who's ridden in both the Derby and the Oaks. Welcome back to the set.
Thanks. It's great to be here and an exciting morning of a few more final preparations this morning, and excited to have the draws already this year.
Anybody that you saw last night that was advantaged by their post position draw or compromised?
I actually thought it was a great draw for most of the horses. I mean, there's not any particular horse, especially some of the favorites and the horses that we've really been focusing on. Nobody's had a hindering post position.
All right, let's take a look here and see how it shook out. You can see the second favorite there at 3-1, Sierra Leone in the inside spot. Closer, do you think that's a difficult spot?
It puts you close to the rail and allows you to save ground. So I think it's, better than being way on the outside.
What about fierceness? No horse has ever won from post 17. The favorite at 5-2, Todd Pletcher's trainee, draws that unlucky spot.
I think there was a lot of post positions that he would have liked worse than the 17. I can tell you that. So he breaks sharp from the gate, and hopefully we'll get a good position from the outside. And is, like we said, talented enough. If he can get a clear trip, that's going to be his best bet, and he'll do that best from the 17.
You got two AEs sitting on the outside waiting to get in. Either of those two that you really are hoping to see run that first Saturday in May?
You know what? I haven't heard any rumors of defections this year like last year, and I think we've got a great field of 20 sets, so hopefully everybody stays healthy. And we keep our original field of 20.
All right, so we've got to interview with Caitlin Free and Todd Pletcher from last night. Let's check it out.
We were kind of hoping for an outside draw. Don't have to stand in the gate too long there, but get enough time to hopefully get set up and ready. And, a clean start's important to him. And so he's got enough tactical speed. I think he can advance to the first turn and get into a good position. Looks like, all the speed's inside of him. So gives Johnny an opportunity to kind of survey what's going on.
My only other question about post position number 17, no, I'm not going to say about the usual thing that they say about 17, but since we have changed the starting gate, it seems to be like that they still kind of hit each other from post positions 4 through 18 a little bit in that skirmish. Is that a little bit of a worry for you when they get out of the gate?
It's always a concern in the Derby. The first part of the race can be the most roughly run part. So, we just need to break cleanly like we did in the Florida Derby, and then he's got enough talent to put himself in the right spot.
All right, congratulations, Todd. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Todd Pletcher, trainer of Fierceness, post position number 17 for the champ.
All right, so drawing towards that inside there in the 2 is Sierra Leone, made 3-1 on the morning line, has just shown himself as not only a big-time closer, but an intimidating alpha out there. Loves to run, won the Risen Star, won the Bluegrass Stakes, trained by Chad Brown, and he looks sharp coming in. Stablemate, domestic product, ran well in the Tampa Bay Derby, the fastest Brisnet late pace figure, but has trained up to the Kentucky Derby, one of Chad Brown's specialties. So it'll be exciting to see him back on the racetrack track. We've got a chance to listen to watch both of these work out yesterday morning, their final preparation before next Saturday. We can see Sierra Leone getting ready to roll. He's going to be on the inside of stablemate domestic product. A great work by both. I thought this was really sharp and well done. Also interesting with the riders. Rosie, what were you noticing with the riders in terms of who was on for this morning breeze?
Yeah, so what's curious about this is it appears that it's Tyler on domestic product on the outside, and I'm not sure who that is on the inside on Sierra Leone. But, you know, Tyler's obviously familiar with both of these horses, so obviously something that Chad Brown thought would be beneficial for either one of the horses. But this is such a great breeze. They've got, you know, Sierra Leone on the inside being pushed along a little bit by domestic product. That's sometimes a tactic they can use for a closer, is have a horse behind him push along. But it also looks like Sierra Leone is really into the work and himself without really needing that push. So they both work great. They come to the wire together. We've seen Sierra Leone, you know, not a real aggressive workhorse, and they finish right together. Both gallop out really well together. I love the way this horse travels, Sierra Leone. He reminds me so much of Gunrunner, where he's got his head kind of low. You know, he almost looks like a bull with his, you know, his knees are kind of high and his head's kind of low, and he just flattens when he's really putting in his best effort. And domestic product also, you know, you can tell it looks like Tyler's got a hold of him here at the wire, and even finishes up of nose in front. So, you know, with a decent post position draw, domestic product could be a horse, you know, to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we got a chance for Caitlin Free to catch up with Chad Brown after the draw in our new paddock last night. So let's take a listen.
He's inside. He might be just a touch further inside than I would have chosen myself, but I definitely didn't want to see him way on the outside, not with a closer. Typically with the, you know, my horses in two-turn dirt races, my horses that lack speed I want inside, and my speed horses I want them outside. So with my two horses in the Derby, at least they drew in the side of the starting gate that I wanted.
Now, Sierra Leone has had, he had that kind of instance a little bit at Keeneland with the starting gate. He has schooled very well in the starting gate since. Are you concerned at all with him having to wait a little while, being in post position number 2, loading in that second flight?
No, I'm really not. His issue was just getting in the gate around the crowd at Keeneland. Once he's in the gate, he really doesn't do anything. He schooled really well here a couple days, like you said, and I don't see the gate as a determining factor if the horse wins or loses.
Definitely one of the buzz horses around the track right now is Catching Freedom, trained by Brad Cox. Really came on strong throughout his 3-year-old campaign so far to win that Louisiana Derby. This will be a Smarty Jones win as well. So he's one of 3 from the Cox barn, as well as Encino. They worked together yesterday morning. Encino, nice win just recently in the Lexington Stakes. Has shown the ability to win on the lead, shown the ability to come from off the pace. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do from this horse that drew in the middle of the pack. All right, we've got this breeze from yesterday morning. Catching Freedom on the inside with his neck bowed. Encino head a little bit higher there with Florent Giroux up on the outside. Rosie, a little bit sharper than the previous 2 in terms of time. We can see 59-1 from these 2 Cox trainees. What did you notice about this work yesterday?
Yeah, this is a really good workout. You can tell they're intentionally keeping Encino a little bit behind Catching Freedom, and you know he's got a little bit more speed, and you know that's important to see how he is rating in his breezes. He's got a little speed and he's coming, you know, from a great post. Catching Freedom is one that I have really taken a notice to. I love the way this horse travels. And he really stretches out here and moves super well. You can see the rider on the inside on Catching Freedom is just absolutely sitting chilly. And it appears that Catching Freedom is just doing this really easily with Encino on the outside, even finishing up a nose in front maybe.
Yeah, Encino does get the little advantage here, but Catching Freedom comes back a little bit. They kind of play a little leapfrog here. So great to see these 2 work sharp. Going to show us their best for Saturday in May. West Saratoga also joined us on the track yesterday. Let's take a look at some stats and details about this. 2nd place finisher in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. Hasn't won since being a 2-year-old, but has definitely been honest in the efforts leading up to this. 10-2-5-1 is the records for this Larry Demerit trainee. A gray horse, and you know they love and have superstitions around the grays. We can see Just Feel out here, 3 furlong work, but it seemed like maybe got a little bit of momentum before really going into this drill. Larry Demerit's been talking about trying to get the distance and trying to train this horse to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you'll notice they start, in this workout is recorded at 3 furlongs, but they start at the 3/8 pole and they work solidly to the 7/8 pole after the wire, which is a tactic that's pretty common to get these horses to really run past the wire, especially if you're concerned about the horse getting the distance. You want them to really think about running past the wire. And this horse is breezing on his own. He's got blinkers on. It almost looks like he leaves a little bit of company with the rider just kind of nudging on him. You can see he switched his stick to the inside there to keep him off the rail a little bit. But just a little bit of a high-headed horse, you know, kind of an even breeze, nothing overly impressive, but you can see the rider is still very intentional after the wire. And then after they pass the 7/8 pole, you'll see he kind of stands up here and just asks the horse to gallop out.
All right, so we've also got 2 entries in the Kentucky Derby from the Danny Gargan barn. They worked out yesterday, Dornoch and Society Man. Let's take a look here about some stats on the Fountain of Youth winner, Dornoch, one that was highly touted as a 2-year-old, definitely has been impressive in the flesh and really ran well, but just maybe didn't get things done the way that they hoped for in the bluegrass last time out. So 4th place finished there, trying to come from off the pace. We'll see if he goes to the lead. He does draw the rail in Kentucky Derby 150. So we can see Society Man, the only chestnut in the field for Kentucky Derby 150, Dornoch on the inside. They were opposite last time, Rosie. What do you think Danny Gargan's thinking in terms of inside or outside with his 2 runners?
You know, I'm not quite sure, but you know, being that the horse is drawing the 1 post and he was a little bit keen in the bluegrass, it's interesting to see that he's on the inside in this work. He's been more forwardly placed in most of his races than he was in the bluegrass, so he's got a little bit of speed, and you can tell, you know, he's willing to let his rider know he wants to be up close. And Society Man on the outside, they look like they're moving pretty well together, and Dornoch does not seem bothered by being on the inside or, you know, having that horse kind of breathing down his neck there. They clearly work really nicely down the lane. 46 and 3 that's a pretty quick work for a half a mile week out from the Derby. So I'm curious to know if Danny was hoping for them to go that fast or was a little faster than he was planning on. But they come right to the wire together. You know, Society Man in the wood was a closer and ran really well, finished really well behind Resilience. I think either of these horses are improving and certainly had nice works.
Awesome. Yeah, great to see those 2 get it done sharp yesterday. Oaks Field was drawn as well. We've got 14 runners plus 8 E's. About 5 fillies that really could have taken that morning line favoritism, but Tarifa gets it done. Winner of the Rachel Alexandra, winner of the Fairgrounds Oaks. What do you think about that post for a horse that maybe is a little bit aggressive, still trying to learn how to relax?
You know, like Joe and I have been talking about, this is such a wide open race in the Oaks. And although there's a lot of tactical horses, there's not like super definitive speed, but Tarifa's definitely got speed. I think she's got a pretty decent post position, kind of coming right out of the middle. And she's definitely been, you know, pretty quick and pretty aggressive up front. So hopefully she'll get out clean and have a clean trip.
All right, Rosie, we're going to take a break now, and then the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks runners are going to join us for a live workout.
As they head to the backstretch, it's a tight pack.
He's going to pull ahead. The Twin Spires expert picks were all optimistic.
You've got the best speed rating in the field. Don't fail me now.
Man, I love this horse's name.
And from far behind, here comes Frank. It's neck and neck. Frank is winning. Frank wins!
Yes! No matter how you pick your horse, bet with Twin Spires, the official betting partner of the Kentucky Derby. Get your money back if your horse finishes 2nd or 3rd in eligible races.
Welcome back. It's that time of day, one of the special moments of this whole ceremony leading up to the Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks. Live workouts with only the Kentucky Derby and Oaks runners on the track. We've got a beautiful morning. Track is playing fast, and we're going to get a chance to see these runners in the flesh. All right, Twin Spires, they've got offers all the time. They definitely have ones circled around this big week. $10 Kentucky Derby week, money back. You put that win bet in. First, you got to opt in, put that win bet in, and if your top pick runs second or third, you do get up to $10 back. Great way to keep those account flush and keep on firing at one of the most exciting racing weeks of the year. We've also got the Derby leaderboard, $2,500 will be split up to the top finishers in this. It's basically a tournament style where you get to put a $10 win bet. Your first win bet is the one that counts for each race, and whoever gets the most points, 100 points for first, 50 for second, 25 for third, gets to split that money up. So a fun social way to attack the races, better than just sitting there by yourself, just counting all your winnings for your strong opinions. So great stuff from Twin Spires. Always love to see what they cook up for us. All right, we're gonna get to see what these Colts, Geldings, and Fillies get done here on this fast track here at Churchill Downs the last Sunday before the Kentucky Derby. We'll take a look at here and see who's joining us this morning. All right, looks like maybe
Yeah, that looks like fierceness. That's definitely a Todd Pletcher saddle towel.
Yeah, what I hear about him is just a gentleman, as you can see. When they have a pony with him, Rosie, talk to me about what role that plays in terms of leading them on and off the track.
Usually when they have a pony, it's just, to kind of keep them quiet, keep another horse with them to handle them, can be a little bit easier than having someone on the ground. But Fierceness is actually being held by his groom here, it looks like. He's such a classy horse that just seems really low-key, and that's so valuable in a horse of this caliber. To have a disposition that allows them not to put out more than what is needed. And I've said it a few times, and I'm just so pleased with how all of the horses that I've seen are traveling this year. They all look so fantastic. There's been absolutely no rumors of any issues going on, which we know things come up all the time, and everyone's just trying to keep their horses in the best condition they can. There's just FYI. We're thinking this filly might be breezing this morning for Bill Mott. Such a big, rangy filly. She is definitely on my radar when I'm thinking about picks. So I'm excited to see her breeze this morning. It looks like we've got a rider on. Could be Junior. It is Junior, as I can see there. And they are just going to have a walking warm-up.
Yeah, Catalytic also on the work tab for this morning, as well as Stronghold. So coming out for trainer Safi Joseph, we can see that stablemate moved to the side, and we've got a good view there of Catalytic.
This is another horse that was moving really well the other day when I saw him train, and an interesting way to stretch a horse out, coming from a sprint race at Tampa and going into the Florida Derby and really holding his own against one of the the favorite in the Derby. So, I mean, he's definitely a horse to look at. It's certainly improved going long, and has looked pretty good here out on the track. So he's going to, he's slated for a workout this morning, Catalytic for Safi Joseph. It looks like they're going to jog the wrong way to warm up, and then we'll probably see them turn around and head to the pole.
Yeah, I think it's always a good sign when you see a horse improve in terms of figures and also just in terms of finishing position when they go further for this big race, right? Trainers are always talking about horses that can get the distance and will move up with the distance. Maybe this is true for Catalytic, who should be a really nice price. We can see behind we saw Torpedo Anna. I would put Just FYI, who we saw before, as well as two of the buzz horses on the Philly side. Catalytic has been moving as well. I've heard some little, just talks around the rail that they've been really impressed with how he's looking in here, finishing second in that Florida Derby last out. So Power Squeeze joined us on the track yesterday for that first work, and we can see her out here this morning, seeing like she's loving to see all the people that are lined up on the rail there. Trained by Jorge Delgado, and on a roll, winning the last 4 of her races. Yeah, this is a filly that I think she ran, such a credible race in the Gulfstream Park Oaks. And she reminds me a little bit of Mage. Now she's not huge and she's chestnut, but she just ran the whole race. And,
it's not easy to do. I mean, if you watch back on that Oaks, you can see her jockey just asking her for a little bit more the whole time, and she delivers.
Yeah.
So here's the Belmont filly, just FYI.
Yeah, just her last work, people have been raving about, right? Even Junior said that was one of the best drills that he's been aboard for in his, obviously very successful and very extraordinary career. A rider who's regularly called up by trainer Bill Mott and gets the reins here for the work this morning. We'll see. I think she's going to go a half. We'll see how it rolls out, and she's going to go solo. What do you think that decision is in terms of trainers when they're thinking about, are we going solo? Are we going in company? Is there something that behind that with how they design their workouts in the morning?
A lot of times it depends on the horse. Does the horse need company to keep them interested? Will they go too fast and be too competitive with company? That could certainly be the case for not wanting to work too fast. We're only 6 days out from the Derby now. So, some trainers work 7 days out, some trainers work 6 days out, some trainers work 3 days out, and some 8 days we've seen. So, but she's a big, strong, rangy filly, so I have a feeling she's probably pretty into her works, and that's why they're deciding to work her by herself.
Yeah, she seems to be loving life out there on the track. Saw another horse pass her, I think it was yesterday, and she's like, no. She's wanted to come up and get past that one. So she's got a race on her mind from what I'm seeing. So they're getting going here, coming around that turn to just slowly build into it. A lot of times people wonder how these workouts sort of roll out, and it just kind of starts to happen organically, right? They just kind of begin to move into it.
They're also keeping her with the pony, which will just keep her kind of quiet, and she'll really know, she knows that when she's with the pony, it's not time to go yet. So she's just, I have a feeling she's quite strong to work. She's so big and such a strong looking filly. So they're just going to keep her with the pony until it's time to break away from the pole. You can see her head's kind of turned sideways, and Junior's having to just talk to her with his hands a little bit, and she's just settled right down there. She knows, you can see that she's still looking forward and knows what's about to happen. And they're breaking into a trot. So I wonder if there's an issue on the track.
Yeah, it seems like they are slowing up, different than building up that.
I wonder if there's something going on that we can't see.
Drawing to the outside, maybe a similar running style to Fierceness that really likes to just sort of be up close to the front, and I think draws in a really good spot.
And now, so the rider on the pony horse is now taking Junior's whip and is holding it for him. I'm curious as to what's going on the track that we can't see.
Well, we'll find out more.
They may just be looking for a place to drop into the rail. There's a lot of breezers out there, and they're just looking for a clear path. Look at this mare. I mean, she is just absolutely beautiful.
She is a
She looks like, I mean,
magazine.
she could be one of the colts in the Derby.
Oh,
you wouldn't second guess that if you were told that this is one of the Derby horses. She just has a really big, strong presence about her. And you can see that it looks like they break off went right to the half-mile pole, even came back to a walk. And, I love to see that she's a horse and they're an outfit that can make those adjustments and just come back to the walk. And Junior's obviously very experienced. So when you have those kinds of variables with whatever's going on the racetrack, and not only did they want to breeze her by herself, but they also just sort of waited to have a clear racetrack, so they didn't have other breezers sort of interfering or, trying to make her competitive. You can see Junior's kept her off the rail. She's just under a real nice hold and striding out absolutely beautifully.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned around the track is that you want them to relax, you want them to learn to feel themselves. I'm seeing all that and more so from just FYI. She is loving to run right now, and seeing her a little bit aggressive when she got passed by that colt yesterday, or just competitive, I think is probably the better word. It makes sense that they waited for that clearance.
Yeah, and I mean, she has a class about her. She's strong, but she doesn't fight with her rider. So she's got a classy mindset, which is so valuable in a big races like this on a big day in a big field.
Yeah, you can still see.
She's kind of pricking her ears here.
Just wondering, kind of wondering, all right, Junior, are we going further? What are we doing? We made it around, and she just has a nice, easy stride to her gallop out here.
And he's never even dropped her head
No.
to gallop out. You know, a lot of times you'll kind of hold them to the wire and then just let them gallop out on their own accord, but you can see that Bill Mott is not wanting to do too much with her. He just wants a nice, easy maintenance half-mile work from her, and it looks like they did that. I mean, that was very well executed from the backside when they just sort of took a little walk break to wait for the perfect time. That was really good horsemanship from all involved with that breeze there.
It looks like she was waiting on Stronghold and Catalytic, who maybe broke off a little bit before. So let's take a look back at Stronghold's work. This is a horse trained by Phil D'Amato, who he has said that he just really has noticed such maturity coming from this Santa Anita Derby. And I saw it in that race as well. Really encountered some trouble, had to fight through, had to really overcome some things, had to show heart. So I'd love to see a horse coming into the Kentucky Derby who's proven their heart, their competitive spirit, their ability to get over it. So here's the work with outside of company, and here with, I believe, Joe Talamo up for the breeze.
Yeah, so Stronghold's a horse that I'm kind of curious why he hasn't gotten a little bit more attention. I really like the horse. He's clearly on the improve. The Santa Anita Derby, you know, was one of the faster prep races, actually. Not a super stacked field as we've seen in the past. But like you said, this horse is really rateable. He's tactical. He's got tactical speed. He was rateable in that race, came in between horses, had a little, you know, had to kind of wait for a spot, was willing to push through a hole. And this work, you know, it looks, you got the rider on Stronghold just checking, looks like they're checking a watch there, see how fast they're going, just to double check and make sure they're getting the work that was designed by Phil D'Amato.
Yeah, it's amazing the clocks that they keep in their head, but then they also have a lot of times the trainer talking to them in their ear, right, telling them how fast they're going.
Yeah, that's
slow
kind
up,
of
whether to keep it there.
It is more common now than it was when I was breezing horses. And I remember one time wearing a watch for Steve Asmussen, and it was the most awkward thing. It can be complicated. I'm sure they're much better at it now, and the technology's better, but.
All right, we also have Resilience breaking off for his breeze, that Bill Mott trainee as well, who is going solo. Winner of the Wood Memorial, I got to see him run really well, but still just a tight touch green or immature there in the Risen Star, but that was a key race. Came out, won the next time, put blinkers on for that win. So we see him going solo for Bill Mott this morning.
Yeah, and this is another big horse with a presence. I actually really have taken a liking to Resilience. And they put the blinkers on last time in the Wood. He ran super well. He was tactical and was just the dominance of that race. You can see he's being kept off the rail in this breeze. The rider is just, you know, staying under wraps. We'll see if he lets him gallop out or if he keeps him under wraps like they did with Just FYI in the Bill Mott barn. And it looks like he's going to let him gallop out a little bit.
And with, like you were saying, with Just FYI, maybe just not wanting to let her do too much, right? Exert too much.
Right.
And then Resilience maybe still, you know, with his development, with his maturing, you know, I think his last race was his best race, and his next race needs to be his very best race to get the win there, which is what you want to see, that improvement, but still maturing physically, getting stronger, getting fit.
Yeah, super powerful gallop out down the backside here, and you know, like a horse, like this horse isn't necessarily super lightly raced, but he had 3 starts before he broke his maiden, and now it's like things clicked and he's just going to get better. And so that's, you know, it's the case for a couple, several horses in the Derby, is like they look like they're on the improve, and who's going to improve on Saturday? Who's going to surprise us on Saturday?
That's what we want to try to predict, right? And that might be where you find your value. Definitely a horse that always been talked about as the further the better. He's going to get to go as far as the distance, that 1 mile and a quarter distance in the Kentucky Derby. Catalytic was another one who broke off about the same time as Stronghold. Take a look at this Safi Joseph trainee who's got some company to the inside this morning. A little bit smaller company, if I can see, or maybe they're a little bit far away. We'll see how they size up against each other as they get close.
Yeah, and you can see they are just also kind of gradually getting themselves closer to the rail.
We've got Jose Ortiz is going to ride Catalytic in the Derby, 30-1 on the morning line. Has shown the ability to be up close, sort of a tracking trip is what I imagine that he would want. Draws post number 5 with.
I think that's a great post for a horse with this sort of tactical speed. You can see this is, he only ran his first 2-turn race last time out in the Florida Derby and ran very well to the favorite in the Kentucky Derby, Fierceness. He was a little aggressive there going to the pole, but then, just settled right in and is settling right behind his workmate. And the rider's having it's funny, once you start the work and you're able to just drop their head just a little bit, they just seem to take a breath and relax, which is what it looks like Catalytic is doing here on the outside of his workmate. They're also staying off the rail. They look like they're going quite quick though. I'm interested to see some of the times this morning because these all look like really good works with horses that are actually held under wraps. But look, this horse, Catalytic's got his ears kind of pricked. The jock has not moved on him. He's coming to the wire just ahead of his workmate, which is, a confidence-building move to have a workmate that is not going to be quite as good at the wire and let the horse gallop out in front and just fill their heart with confidence. Look at his ears pricked there. You can see his tongue flapping out of his mouth, which is not an uncommon thing to see. Can be a little bit of a nervous habit, but once they've got their tongue out, they don't really put it back in often.
The Michael Jordan style, right?
Yeah, he looks happy though in the gallop out here and moving really well this morning.
It looks like a nice setup for him, like you said. Confidence, he can get by that one at the end. So Catalytic showing off in the mornings and loving life. From the 5 spot, I guess we've got Dornoch, like we were saying, likely gonna go on that rail. You've been in that spot before, and that could be that sort of that same setup possibly for Catalytic if the break can go well, as he's got Mystic Dan, who might want to get that same trip as well, but Sierra Leone and Catching Freedom, 2 runners who are probably going to drop into the inside, try to save ground and not mess around with tending to that front run. So Just Steel, trained by Coach Dwayne Lucas, joined us early this morning. Coach always gets his runners out almost the first ones to the track. Good to see Just Steel coming and doing a half mile, doing it easy, in terms of time. We've got 50-1 for going this furlong distance. Let's see how it goes for Just Steel.
This is a big colt by Justify and ridden by Keith Asmussen, son of Steve Asmussen, getting a ride in his first Derby. I don't even know if he's been riding more than a year. I guess maybe a little bit over a year, but has been really successful, rides a lot for Steve. He's not on this morning. This looks like one of the coach's riders out here, which is common for Mr. Lucas to have his own breeze riders on these horses. And this horse is not overly motivated. You can see, and the time being 50-2, and this rider is actually, encouraging him to work on. He looks like he could have used a little bit of company, but this could be perhaps exactly the 50-2, the real maintenance half, 6 days out from the Derby.
Yeah, hearing about this gallop out, didn't ask much after. We kind of just stopped after hitting the 4 furlongs.
He's got his ears pricked here too. Like he's wearing blinkers. He's wearing a shadow roll. It looks like he's got several pieces of equipment to encourage him to do things just the way they want.
Yeah, so the rider stands up after hitting the wire and says, all right, that's what we wanted. That was it. That was by design. Went a mile in his last work, which is a little bit unorthodox. Great to see that.
Bit old school.
Yeah, old school, right? I love it when they do stuff different. I remember seeing Yak Teen do a little of a blowout Wednesday before and calling back to some of his, I think.
There are 1,000 different ways to get the same result, I can tell you that. So all horse trainers, all these trainers have their little different tactics that work for them. And it looks like that breeze for Just Steel was just what they wanted.
Yeah, that's a good segue into another breezer that we saw earlier this morning, Track Phantom, trained by Steve Asmussen. Looked great winning the Gun Runner, the LeCompte, and then just couldn't get it done the Risen Star and the Louisiana Derby. But here's a horse that has an equipment change ahead of the Kentucky Derby. And I know you know the Asmussen barn very well. Is there anything equipment-wise besides the blinkers that you see that maybe isn't signature to his going? I know sometimes we see that neck bow come up from the Asmussen runners and maybe a draw ring sort of set up.
I think this horse was going in draw reins previously, but I've heard that he hasn't been training with them recently. It is, it's a big move to put on blinkers in the Derby, especially this horse has speed. But I will tell you, there is one horseman that I don't ever question, and that's Steve Asmussen. So for whatever reason, he's putting the blinkers on. He's been galloping them, he's breezing in them, and it is by a specific design. The method to Steve's madness is something that should not be questioned. But, Track Phantom already having speed, I'm sure they are, he has proven to run best on the front end, and I'm sure they are hoping to be very forwardly placed, and they have a good post position for that. And that's kind of what I was saying before is like, I don't see any particular horse that is particularly hindered by their post position, at least not most of the ones expected to be super competitive. But that was a great work for Track Phantom. I mean, he did settle with the blinkers. He settled off of his workmate. Steve is one that loves to work in a minute.
Yeah.
So
12-2, 24-1.
I mean, that's even a quicker work for Steve. Like he likes a nice, even work, and that looks like that's just what that was. There, the jockey was just asking him to switch leads, or the rider.
Yeah, we saw another little moment there, just a little bit unevenness or a spook, or just kind of didn't.
It looked like he was just trying to change the horse's balance from the left lead back to the right lead.
Gotcha. All right, so stablemate Our Pretty Woman sitting on the outside right now. That first AE hoping to get in. She's really come on so fantastically throughout her 3-year-old season. Finished second. Tarifa was able to run her down after she's able to get the lead in the Fairgrounds Oaks. I would love to see her in there. Of course, I want everybody who's already in there to run as well. But I do think she is one of the top contenders, and might be that speed that field is looking for, that true classy speed to be able to get the lead and have that commanding position. 4 furlongs, going easy here, 50 seconds. After going really sharp last time, I think it was one of the sharper times of the morning in her last drill.
Yeah, this is, your typical half and 50 that Steve likes to do, week out. And you'll see like 2 weeks out will be their more, their more influential work, and this is sort of just a maintenance. She actually switched to her right lead a little bit prematurely on the turn, which is where you could see like a little bobble there. She looks like she's striding out beautifully, and it could have been something that she saw that encouraged her to switch her leads early. Like when they're going at this speed and they just change their balance a little bit, whether they see something here, they'll tend to switch leads. But she looks like she is absolutely striding out beautifully. If there's anybody on the also eligibles between the Oaks and the Derby, this is the one that I'd like to see run.
Yeah.
I actually really, really do like this filly, and she's got speed. She'll be coming from the outside, and she looks to be like one that could definitely be improving. Not a whole lot of experience. Ran well on a fast track in the Fairgrounds Oaks. Like I said, I think the Fairgrounds racetrack and Churchill sort of compare to each other sometimes. And I'm always paying attention to the horses that are coming out of those prep races down at the Fairgrounds.
They sure have had success, and of course I'm biased, being somebody who spends his winter down at Fairgrounds. Look at these fans out to see the thoroughbreds. This is one of my favorite parts of being at a racetrack, is coming out in the mornings. I love to see all the fans out here to watch the display. So great to see them here. And, Caitlin Free was able to catch up with Brad Cox, somebody who's had multiple runners in the Derby for the past several years. Did get the win with Mandaloon in 2021. And we saw some good efforts from his runners in the past couple of years. Maybe this year will be his year to cross that finish line first. Let's see what he had to say about the post position, the draws, and the morning line odds here with Caitlin Free.
Joined here outside the post position draw by Brad Cox, trainer of 5 horses going forward in this year's Kentucky Derby in Kentucky Oaks. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about the Derby. You have horses with all different types of running styles in this year's Derby. They all drew post 9 or inward. Where are you thinking there with the post positions that they drew?
I'm happy with them. Catching Freedom, he should be the second half of the field going into the first turn. Encino, we'll see. hopefully breaks, gets a nice forward position. I'd see him in the first half of the field, and obviously just a touch, maybe a little bit closer to the pace. Will, ultimately be up to the jocks. Hopefully they get away well and get good, clean trips.
I wanted to ask you about Axel Concepcion getting aboard Encino in this race. Champion apprentice rider from last year. Seems to fit this horse pretty well, though.
Yeah, he's a very good rider. He's got a very good judge of pace, too. He's been working in our barn since last November, and we really like what we've seen from him. Wise beyond his years. Obviously, he's a very young rider, but, has a great feel for a horse and where he needs to be in a race and strong finishers. So what's not to like? I think he's a great talent, and I'm excited to give him an opportunity here.
Moving over now to the Oaks, you have two contenders in there, Jinjin as well as Tarifa. Would you maybe think it's a fair assessment that Tarifa could be one of the forgotten horses in this year's Oaks?
Yeah, I think sometimes the fairgrounds horses are forgotten about just because it's 6 weeks removed leading up to the Oaks and Derby. But yeah, she could be a little. I think they said she might be the morning line favorite at 7-2, but she's training well. She's eager of the morning. That's her. She's always been like that. She's got to work out a trip, a smooth trip. She didn't have a very smooth trip in the Fairgrounds Oaks, so I'm hoping that Flavian can, break and get a good clean run to the first turn. She settles, and if she does, she'll definitely get the mile and an eighth.
Jinjin going to be your second contender for the Oaks this year. She spent some time up in New York, ran well there. Now she is back in Kentucky, post position number 2 for her.
It's okay for her. I think she'll be mid-pack, hoping she'll be mid-pack, and she'll run from off the pace. So she had has a great foundation in her. She had some success here last September. She's, was running every month up in New York, and she's coming in. She looks really good. Her gallop out yesterday was really good with Tarifa. I really like how she's moving.
All right, congratulations, Brad, and best of luck moving forward.
Thank you very much.
Brad Cox, trainer of a plethora of horses going into this year's Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Cox, his success with the fillies has been just unbelievable, winning all the preps from Alpine Princess to West Omaha, then Tarifa winning the last 2 down at Fairgrounds. Jinjin and Tarifa moved great yesterday. This morning, did anybody really stand out in your mind, Rosie, in terms of one that either your opinion shifted about or that just really reaffirmed what you already were thinking?
I really like Track Phantom's work. I mean, he's not my favorite horse because of his running style for the Derby and, just kind of getting beat those last 2 times. But it is hard to argue with that breeze that I saw from him this morning. So he also has a good post position from post 12. So like I said, there's nobody that I really had my eye on where I was disappointed about their draw for them. And I think most of the trainers with most of the favorites should be happy with their draws and have sounded like they are quite happy with their draws.
I agree with you. I think that Track Phantom work was impressive. Just FYI continues to show us everything you want to see from a possible Kentucky Oaks filly winner. We've got some promotions from Twin Spires we've got to discuss. So let's take a look here at that $10 money back. One of many things. You got to get up there, Rosie. You got to opt in. The offers are there, whether in your app or on the website. And maybe you really love a horse. Maybe you want to put some money on their nose to win. You don't want to mess around with Claims to Show. If you get it wrong, if you just miss second or third, you get up to $10 back. So a nice way to take a swing with Twin Spires, and that will be all this week for the races here at Churchill Downs. I love tournament play. I love it not just because of the chance to handicap races and dive into a deep level, but the chance to be competitive, not only against yourself, but against others. You can see your name up on the leaderboard if you opt in for that $2,500 Thurby Thursday leaderboard. Take a swing. That first win bet, $10 is the price, at least $10. You get 100 points for the win, 50 for the second, 25 for the third. Love to see the way that Twin Spires is moving into that tournament space. It's just been fantastic, and they've rolled out some really great offers. So look into that. All right, Rosie, we've got your last day with us here today, 3 days in a row. We appreciate your insight and time. Oh, you're back. You're coming back for more.
Yes, I'm back on Thursday, and I'll have my picks for you then. Ah,
your picks. We'd love to see those.
So it'll be the last day before the Oaks is upon us, and we can see those horses their last day on the track. So I'd love to be here this weekend when we have all the most exciting breezes going on, and then the day before the Oaks.
All right, so that is it for today. Derby Oaks fields have been set. Post positions draw, morning line odds. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.